My workload now has like shifted to AI. And the best thing you can do is to put constraints on yourself that are around your taste and around your influences.
We're making slop, cooking up some slop. Come and get your slop.
Yeah, man. I'm like, obviously, like, I know you just from seeing what you're posting on X, these AI videos. So I was curious to talk to you. Then I kind of checked out Backslider and see that you're, a talented, motion designer, illustrator. You kind of do a lot. Um, I mean, this podcast, I am focusing on like AI and filmmaking. So I'm like curious, I guess, just to start, like how you like are you all in? Like how do you kind of see AI fitting into like what you do, you know?
Yeah, man, it's like I I keep telling like friends this and like colleagues that this is wild times. It's like open season, Wild West, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I'm all in. Like I found that like 90% of my workload now has like shifted to AI in the past year. But I come from more like documentary film animation,
Oh,
and
cool.
I've done motion graphics and tons of stuff for like tech and brands, and um I don't know, I feel like this is such a disruptor when it comes to just like tool sets and workflow and how creatives are starting to tackle the task at hand, that there was so much resistance in the top. I was like an early adopter. I was immediately like, these tools are incredible, back before it was really kind of possible to tell stories with it yet. But yeah, I found it now. It's like you can't escape it. It's sort of
Yeah.
undeniable. So,
Do you think it
and
has
I was checking your stuff out too, man. You're like
thanks.
a super talented editor besides just the AI stuff you've been cooking.
Thanks, man. Yeah, well, I was gonna say, I wonder if it has something to do with the fact that we both like, you know, you're an artist. I mean, when it comes down to it, right? Like you're gonna use all these different tools in these different ways, whether it's illustration, animation, and now these cool films. Like you're gonna use whatever tool helps you express like what is in your head, right? Like
It's a
something like
rinse and
that.
repeat. This is
Hmm.
like a story as old as time.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you've had certain accounts that share that stuff. It's kind of like anytime there's a big breakthrough or any sort of like, technological revolution, there's always resistance. There's people from the old guard that don't want to see change. But yeah, at the end of the day, I kind of look at this like a new medium, though. Like I was just at uh, Runway did like an AI conference
Oh, cool.
here like a handful of weeks ago, and they had um, a bunch of great like speakers. One of them was the CTO from Paramount, and he
Oh,
said, he's like, I think this is top five human inventions. He's like,
whoa, yeah,
at least top 10, and he's like, and I include fire
bro.
with that in terms
Hundred
of what it
percent,
is. But
dude. hundred
yeah, yeah.
percent. I mean, it's it's like paradigm changing, like yeah, like fire or electricity. It's this kind of like, it's this like commodity of intelligence that will be scaled where it's available everywhere. It'll be ubiquitous. It'll be nearly cheap, free. I mean, basic, the same way I think electricity, like we all have electricity in our homes. Some companies use more than others, but it's this thing that's gonna absolutely like change everything.
Yeah, yeah, it's already, you can see it. Like
Yeah.
I'm in Brooklyn, New York. I took the subway last night. Every single advertisement is AI. Every
Really?
single dude, every single in the subway was like companies for AI. And I was like, we've arrived.
Oh, yeah,
It's happening.
dude.
And yeah, man, I don't know. A little sidebar about the creative aspect of it, because obviously AI is now encompassing so many different facets, but specific to what we do, I from the minute I dipped my toes in, I felt resistance from folks,
Like
and I
acquaintances
wasn't
or
deterred.
yeah,
What's
of
that?
course. Like acquaintances or friends or who?
Oh yeah,
Like,
friends. Just
yeah.
the minute I started sharing online, there was you had a ton of support. Like the AI community is awesome, but then there's also these people who are just out like trying to spread hate and negativity towards it. And kind of, I understand the fact folks are a little like threatened and scared by it, but then I'm also kind of like, it's swim or sink. Like something like this comes around, like you have to learn to adapt at the bare minimum. And then on the other side is you should be excited. This is the most incredible tool for a creative. Like whatever's in here, you can stress test like that. You can get what's in your mind's eye out within minutes and see, just hey, let's test it. Let's see what's going on. Is this something worth my time? Is this, exactly what I want? So I think that aspect of it is insane. Like that, I don't think we're gonna truly feel like the ramifications of what that means for another like couple of years in terms of like entertainment.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, as you say that, I mean, I like watch, your videos of like the kind of this like old school Jim Henson vibe, and it like makes me so happy. And I know it has to make you happy, like to be able to have an idea and then see it. And often like you'll get some crazy version that's different maybe than what you thought, but it's like wilder, and it feels
Totally.
like a miracle. It's like this weird it's like looking into another dimension. Like it's still so trippy and
Yeah.
psychedelic.
It's a sandbox. Like you can literally create, if it has been, uh, there was a AI short film last year that kind of touched on this. Like any photograph, any video that can be, you can create. Like it's pixels. It's like there's a finite amount of pixels. So if you organize those pixels and the mathematical equation, you can
Oh,
come up with a finite amount, and we have access to all of them using AI. Whatever you can dream up can happen. So the best thing you can do is to put constraints on yourself that are around your taste and around your influences. And that's where you get the most, I think, unique
Come on,
voices
let's
that are
go.
happening in the space.
Let's go, Ted. Sit.
Looks like I lost you.
Sit.
fuck, dude. Okay. Check. Can you hear?
Yeah, yeah, I hear
Okay,
you.
okay,
Get
cool.
another
All right.
mic?
Someone, my wife put in my AirPods and they connected.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, yeah. You got a
yeah.
pup?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, did you
Nice.
hear her talking to the phone?
It's just saying sit. It's either that or you got a toddler.
Yeah, exactly. No, not yet, but yeah, pup. Yeah. Yeah, man.
Yeah, dude. Um, where do you want to pick up?
Well, I mean, yeah, you're talking about, I think what you mentioned something about like putting constraints. Did you have an idea about like, given that everything is
Oh, yeah, yeah,
possible,
yeah.
every pixel, like, constraints are important at this point. Like,
Oh yeah, they're vital because
yeah,
because you can create anything means that you have to put constraints on. So or else you'll go mad.
yeah,
So you
man.
have to like have some sort of compass, some sort of map.
Yeah,
And I think the most unique voices, like yourself included, Ryan Lightborn,
yeah,
Blacklight,
yeah.
um, there's a ton of I don't know if you follow Framer and a bunch of the people that he does more of like AI animation.
Cool.
Beautiful dude. He's more in like the AI education camp.
Okay.
And some of the people who have been in his course for AI animation are
Oh,
already
yeah.
creating these like
Yeah, yeah.
shorts that
Yeah.
are outrageous. But
Yeah.
all of that is coming from like your unique perspective.
Yes.
That's why I firmly believe like we're in the age of the tastemaker, the director,
Mm.
because you have access to tools that in a very short amount of time will be agentic. You won't even have to spend the hours having to like grind out within the technicality of the tools. It'll
Yeah.
simply be like, here's my idea, here's my aesthetic, here's my mood board. Give me options. Give me options, and then from there I'm going to select, and we're going to dive deeper into these little tendrils.
Oh,
And
man.
I always say, like, as artists, you're collecting influences and references your entire life. You know, like Bowie talked about this. Like you're
Hmm.
always you're gathering. You're like a collector, and it's in your mind's eye. And so when you create, it's going through that filter. It's almost like a cheesecloth. So all these influences and experiences, what comes out the other end is your art, and it's uniquely yours because it couldn't have come from anybody with those experiences because they're yours. So I think that's what's so amazing about some of the stuff being created right now is you can 100% see folks who grew up in like the
Yeah,
80s or
yeah,
grew up in the
yeah,
90s and
yeah,
the influences of like, uh, like Cronenberg and then like,
yeah. That's
influences of Henson and,
it's interesting because like yeah, millennials. I think Ryan Lightburn was saying this too. Is like we have access to like, you know, like the before times before internet when kind of like we got the canon of like culture from like boomers and Gen X and before, that was like kind of recycled in movies and cartoons and TV even, and then internet culture. And so I feel like we have this like massive kind of like working memory and knowledge of all this culture that is going to probably be coming out through us, through AI. Like all the references will be like shaped down into these like series and movies and slop and whatever. But yeah,
and how insane is it that you can create, it's almost like being able to paint with a brush that's an
yes,
entire genre or an aesthetic. And
dude.
it reminds me of like, there was a big boom that I'm a big fan of like 50s and 60s rock and roll, soul, country. And there was a
Sick.
big movement about like 10, 15 years ago where folks started to seek out analog gear. And
Sure.
so
Yep.
they could capture some people like Charlie Crockett and Sierra Farrell. And, it's like you have these artists who they're doing the same thing on the audio side, which is like if you were to listen to some of their newer tracks, it sounds like you're listening from like an old 45
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the 60s, and now that's moved over into the visual arts with these AI tools. And I always think it's funny too, because the content we enjoyed was from folks who were in their adult years that grew up in
Yeah.
the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
had all those monster movies and those
Yes.
like
Yes.
serial comics. So you saw
Yes.
their influences with the technology they had. And then as it went into the age of CG, you had that flood only to do a hard pivot back
Yeah.
in the age of like J.J. Abrams, and people wanted it. Like the millennials
Yeah.
were getting older and it scratched that nostalgia itch. Like Stranger Things comes out of nowhere and
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
a throwback 80s,
Yeah.
it's like Stand By Me.
Yeah.
So I think we're gonna see a whole lot more of that, but in a much more unique and stranger way. And it's almost it's original IP, world building, people being able to flesh out stories that exist in an ecosystem that you can continue to revisit because the barrier of like creating content within that world is collapsing. So
Mm.
therefore, you can truly explore side characters, side stories. So
Mm.
I think the thing that's going to be like the real linchpin moving forward is stories. Always
Mm-hmm.
has been, but it's you can already feel it in the space,
Mm-hmm.
like tech demos and flexing the tools has kind of had its moment because now it's like, okay, cool, we get it. Now people want the stories. They want engaging stories, something that lights them up, paired with a world that they're interested in,
Man, dude,
so
this is cold. I'm making a list of like all these tangents and questions. I resonate with all of this, and I know a lot of people will too. I mean, um, so I want to like go back to different things you said and like go off on different branches, like because
sure.
you did mention agents coming online when it's going to be easier, and I've been thinking about this like, and also talking to other people about other artists about like how uh, yeah, creatives are how will creative voices and like you're saying taste still matter in the world of like slop, like if we're just overwhelmed by like automated like stories and verticals and like just stuff coming at us, like how do you think that all plays out, like Well, my,
I look to
yeah, go
I
ahead.
look to music. I
Mm,
think that because it already kind of had its moment, like there's a great quote by Trent Reznor where he was asked about um, digital music spaces, being able to have, workstations that were digital were harder to come by back when he was coming up, and you had to like really work hard to get access to them. And the question was, well, now every computer gets into a home has like GarageBand, so you're going to have, how do you feel about that? Is that going to make the
mm,
competition? He's like, listen, it's an amazing thing, and I think that's incredible, the fact that you have access because kids will be able to learn, but that doesn't necessarily mean every single computer that's paired with the kids is going to create great
that's a
content. You're
great
going to have
point.
a
Yeah.
ton of stuff that'll be out there, but it'll still be the people who are undeniable, work their asses off, have great taste innately that are going to be the cream of the crop. So I think it will. I mean, there's
Yeah.
going to be a flood that's going to be coming. But then I think about just the fact that back in the 50s and 60s, you had very few genres of music.
Mm.
You had rock and roll, you had soul or R&B, and you had country music. Is there blues in there too? And then you think about the fracturing that has happened over time, and rock and roll turning into metal, into emo, into punk, into
Oh, yeah.
hardcore. It's like those genres all have fan bases, and they all have bands within them that are still happening,
Dude, you're right.
that
No, they
still
have,
have
and
fan bases
thriving. They're thriving like
thriving,
ecosystems,
dude.
festivals, like, so yeah, every single
Yeah, so
niche.
I think the
Yeah.
same thing for what
Whoa.
this moment is. And I almost, what makes me curious, it's like we've never felt this moment because people like to throw the term around gatekeepers, but gatekeepers is really just paired with the fact it was expensive. It's really
Yes,
expensive. So
yes,
in order to
yes,
get the
yes.
money to do it, you had people who had to sign off on the fact like, okay, we're going to commit. We got to really believe in you. We got to believe in the idea. We got to believe in the IP, the franchise, because
Yeah.
there is a business model attached to it. And to now be able to create at that level without that kind of overhead is kind of like, again, it's open season. So you
Yeah.
can just create whatever you want. You can pick a genre and you can lean into it, especially if it means something to you. And I think that's where you're going to start to see amazing shows, episodics, world building, features, short films. And the fact is you can you can keep it going as long as it makes sense.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait a year or two between
Right.
seasons.
Right, right,
It's,
right.
either until you're exhausted or the audience is exhausted, then you can move on to something else.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Wisdom to know the difference.
But I
That's
mean,
a
look at something like Harry Potter or Star Wars. And I've said this for years now, like the next great IP, I really believe is coming out of AI.
yeah,
I think somebody's going to create something that'll be undeniable.
for
It'll
sure.
catch fire, and you're going to see it in the Halloween section of Target. It's going to be it'll be like Star Wars. It'll be like Harry Potter. It's like inexhaustible. People
Yeah,
just
man.
want more. They just want to be in that space.
You're so right. Yeah, you're so right. Yeah, and that's the same as it ever was. Like you're saying, undeniable. I mean, that's all it is. Like if something's undeniably good, that's all there is to it. No one cares what tool was used, if it was done with pencil or whatever. Like no one cares.
Dude, when I went to school, so I was growing up, I wanted to be an animator for Disney. That was like my childhood dream. And as I got older, Toy Story hit, Jurassic Park hit, and I became, you know, just completely overwhelmed with a desire to learn 3D. I was
Mm.
like, so I ended up going to school for animation, and there was a moment in the program where you could pick. You could either go 2D or you could go 3D. And so I ended up going 3D. And after school, this was all Eastern Seaboard. I stayed in the DC area and got roped into like documentary broadcast television doing 3D. But over time, like I ended up back in 2D. I ended up back into like uh, traditional animation. It didn't go anywhere. It's not that 3D killed 2D. And I remember when Disney animation had its final quote unquote feature film that was going to be from, the traditional artists. It was like what was it, a barnyard comedy with Roseanne Barr. and it was like their final one,
Huh.
only for them to return a handful of years later,
Wow.
and 2D becomes huge now. It's huge in ad spaces, it's huge everywhere. And now if you look in AI, there's people creating 2D style with it. Things just change form, and I don't think it's one of those
Yeah.
things. It's like just because a new medium or a new way of creating art comes along that it just extinguishes the older form, might change it,
No.
but people
Dude,
want to create in styles,
Billy, I mean, also you make me I have this like sense, I don't know if I can articulate it, but I think you probably would agree like not only are these what we might consider older like traditional art forms going away, they're going to be a huge asset to the future kind of like AI creators that can use that could recontextualize old forms the same way you're talking about like using an old amp or using old recording equipment, using archaic forms, styles. The artist who has the most knowledge and can appropriate all these old forms in a new context for a new audience like will have the leg up because they'll be able to provide something that the modern audience hasn't seen or heard before. And then, of course, there'll be copycats or agents swarming around that new novel thing. That'll get done. And then you move on to like another form that people, how do you keep people surprised and entertained and kind of wonder? And that's something you're doing, with like the old like kind of puppet style, which is like amazing and beautiful. And,
Thanks, man.
yeah, of course. And and at some point like if when it breaks through you probably have a million copycats and then but of course you're going to always be moving on to what catches your eye and based on your kind of like your wealth of like inspiration and resources like you're going to keep looking for what surprises you as an artist, which is I think what surprises others too. Does that resonate with you like the
100%.
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think you said something important too, which is that because of these old ways of doing things, they just because they might not be now the standard way of doing them doesn't mean that they're gone. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
mean that they're all of a sudden erased. In fact, again, just to pivot back to music, think about one of my favorite films is Oh Brother, Where Art
Oh
Thou?
yeah,
The
yeah, yeah.
Coen brothers.
Yeah.
So quotable. The
Yeah,
music's
yeah, yeah,
great.
yeah.
That soundtrack by T-Bone Burnett was uh, a huge hit, and it came out of nowhere. And
Yes.
it was traditional American music. It was folk
Yes.
music. It was bluegrass. That was not happening in the music scene at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
And all of a sudden, that hits becomes reintroduces people to this music. And then what happens? You have Mumford and Sons, you have Stomp Clap, you have like, the Lumineers, you have this huge genre of music that was like people were
Whoa.
dressing in suspenders, man. Like
Yeah,
people
yeah,
dressing like it
the
was
wax
1890
mustache.
with the mustaches, you know what I mean? So, this happens in fashion. It happens in the way we express ourselves because we're always searching. And if you're creative, that's why it kind of pains me to see people that are in the space of creatives allowing negativity to flood their vision because instead of taking this opportunity to be like, shake it loose, man. Like you're never going to get anywhere if you're negative. Like you got to be as positive as you possibly can be. And that's where you're going to birth something unique because then, you have something to say that nobody else can say because it's yours. And
Yeah.
it's like even this little puppet world that I've come up with, and I've only had this happen one other time in the AI space, which was uh, this was back in 2023. I created like a long form story before video hit on Instagram. I created this account, created a world called Elvira de Boliac, and it was like a time travel like thriller. And I did like daily posts that were chronicling the story, and I was obsessed. And it was like I had this whole story arc that was happening, and fast forward to this, and I've been creating a bunch of little stuff, and all of a sudden it was like something clicks, and it's like you can't shake it. It's like it's in the back of your head, like this little world that I've kind of happened upon. I've called it Lionia, is like almost asking me to create things. It's almost like, oh, this is something I should tell. Oh, let's go over here. Let's see what that is. And it's like Tom Waits has a quote, which I don't know if it was originally Dylan's or not, but he said that songwriting, creating is a lot like fishing. You
Yeah,
cast your line
yeah,
out,
yeah.
right? Hoping to catch something, right? And sometimes you bring nothing in, but you got to be fishing in order to catch
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
And you cast it in sometimes, and you might be lucky enough to catch something. And it's going to take a little struggle to bring it in, but then once you got it, it's like that's the kind of the act of
Yeah.
creation,
Yeah, David
which
Lynch too, right? Talks about that, catching the big fish.
catching a
And like,
big fish.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's interesting. I wonder, I get the sense increasingly that creating with AI is very much now in terms of like filmmaking is getting close to music, like playing a guitar, because you're playing the tool and getting, not quite in real time yet, I'm sure we will, you're getting the result, the output, the visual output, and you're like moving through the
Love it.
tool. And it, I mean, that is crazy. Like, I mean, I can imagine a near future where we're not literally, but almost speaking in visual reference. I mean, we kind of already do it with memes, but visually, speaking visually, communicating visually. Like, because I already had a sense of who you are just based on like what you were creating. It's almost like we're gonna be,
Yeah, yeah.
we're gonna know each other through like what we're expressing and the recontextualizing like our inspirations and stuff. And
Your shorts, Barbie the Destroyer.
yeah, yeah.
I sat down, I showed my wife, and both of us were like, I was like, my dude. Like it definitely like both of us were like laughing our asses
Yeah,
off.
yeah.
Love the aesthetic of the world. And I was just like, this is it. Also, it's like a kind of an amazing way to help find your people,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Because I think you just nailed it. And I hadn't heard anybody make that comparison before. You might have to clip that out.
All
I might have
right,
to
we got a
clip that,
clip. We
right?
got a lot of clips
No,
already,
because
bro. We're
I'm a
we're clipping.
musician. I'm a musician. So in fact, here's a fun little like anecdote maybe we can come back to. I'll tell you about it. I had my animation career disrupted when I got cast in a Broadway show as Elvis,
Whoa,
which is
that's
a story for
wild,
another
dude.
time. A story for another time. But I grew up playing guitar, writing music, which is why all of this, I've been thinking a lot about it because of the current state and where it's heading. And again, I think if you were to say, what is this all hanging from? It's stories. What are songs? Songs are stories. Always comes back to the story. But when I would sit down and play guitar, same deal, hoping to find something, you're getting instant feedback. You're creating it in the moment. And that could happen with painting. It could happen with photography. And to a certain extent, it could happen with filmmaking, but not at the production level, like what you're having access to with AI. You're not going to get to uh, just jam with practical puppets in a magical realm that didn't have a year of pre-production and character design work and stuff. That is that is the secret sauce. That's where it really is because it allows you to play. You could never play with a style like that before like this. So that's where I think it's like, who knows what we're in store for, especially in terms of styles, in terms of stories, in terms of worlds. So it's like that's a great comparison, dude. That's great. It is. It's a lot like jamming. It's like getting your guitar out and like, let's see if I can write a song today.
Yeah, it's wild, man. Um, do you think that what do you think about the like given that um there is such a fascination around like I just read like the like vinyl industry, like it was so like it was something in the billions, like vinyl had its biggest yeah. And and even younger kids are super into vinyl and tapes and like you're saying, like analog equipment. I wonder, and I'm hearing like rumblings like, well, like I'll have friends who have kids that are like not into social media, which is great. Is there gonna be like I'm like like just at the moment where I'm like, this is a miracle, this technology is so cool, but like almost like the younger generation might be burned out by the onslaught. Like, do you have any sense of that? Like, like culture seems to be heading in both like uh analog real life experiences, live music, live performance, and then we have this, and then I get worried like, well, they're going to be artists making using AI, generative AI, but do we just again, I already mentioned this, but get caught up in like the tidal wave of slop and agentic forces, and how do you see that in? Yeah,
Yeah, I mean the slop effect is real. The slop effect is real. Like it's I mean you can't jump on social now without seeing something that was created by AI and not, all of it is thoughtful, which I don't think is bad. Like people are totally free to write a bad song. You know
yeah,
what I
good
mean?
point.
Like
Yeah,
you got to
yeah,
write a bad song before you can write a good one. You got to
yeah,
create a bad video before you can create a good one. So it's like um I think the fact that people are excited by it and they want to share it, it is going to have a flooding of the zone. But I do think there's something interesting generationally, which is that you have millennials that were really the guinea pigs of social media and the internet. Like when I was a kid, cell phones didn't exist, the internet didn't exist, social media certainly didn't exist. So that all happened when I was in hitting like middle school and high school. So the Gen Z is having a tough time. I see my I have like nephews and nieces, like they're glued to their phones a lot. Like they're in it. They're not really out there interacting as much as they could be. And I think the generation that the millennials are going to be raising are going to be a bit more thoughtful with how they get access and interact with this stuff. You can already see it. Like, my algorithm is jacked because I'm a parent too. Like I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. So like besides the AI stuff, I'm just getting parenting stuff,
okay,
just
yeah,
like an
yeah,
onslaught of that stuff. But the one thing I can say is there is a through thread that millennials are very, very aware, very thoughtful about the negative effects of screen time, the negative effects of social media. Like that is going to change the way that their kids interact with these things. So I think millennials are going to be more, I think they're going to be more wanting to show their kids the things they grew up with. So they're going to consume older content. They're going to see The Labyrinth. They're going to see The Land Before Time. They're going to see, Five Goes West. Like they're going to see all these movies. They're still going to have access to the new stuff, but I think that besides that, it's like I don't know. It's like the fact that there is so much only means that the great stuff again will
yeah,
just be undeniable. I don't know what distribution looks like, to be honest with you. I know that you have major players that already they have their labs working it out and what that's going to look like, but I don't know how it's consumed necessarily in like 10 years. Like
yeah.
I could almost see it. This could be a blend too. I don't know if you were like a Star Trek kid, but like they had the holodeck in
Oh,
the
right,
Next
right, right.
Generation, which was an immersive world thing, which is almost kind of form fit for what AI is. But
Yeah.
um,
Do you think though that because I spoke to a AI artist who was saying, yeah, he thinks that's relatively soon, where you'll have like a not even a Neuralink, just like a headset that goes around and it reads. It can it can read. It'll be like an interface between the computer and your brain. You can send it. It's not quite yet like an immersive like holodeck, like you're in a world and like immersive. But I do. I wonder like I my I've heard other people also say like very soon you're going to be able to dial up your own Star Wars movie. You're going to say like, hey, give me a 30-minute Star Wars, have these characters do this, like you order on a menu. But my sense is that the tech will be there. We will be able to do that, but it it people might be interested in that for maybe like a week. I feel like it strikes me as like it would be a fad, like, and people will go
yeah,
back to who's the new, like, go back to status and like who's the creator that's telling the coolest stories, the coolest stuff. Like, even if you can
100%
make
agree.
your own, most people will go towards the expert, and the
Yeah, because storytelling is a craft. Storytelling is something you can get good at. Storytelling is like again, I think that's really the backbone to it all. And I think there's a novelty factor to the idea that you can generate your own Star Wars. And I think, you know, it'll create things that are passable and will scratch the itch for people who just want to see something in that world. But I think they would be more likely to follow a talented creator who has created maybe in the world of Star Wars, which had me thinking too. I was like, you know, I think what's where we're in the, at least in the immediate future, is that this idea of creators creating unique styles, unique narratives, unique worlds. I think that's going to be kind of like the new, perhaps if you could even call maybe like an AI influencer, somebody who has a taste that people enjoy, and then you're going to see brands sponsoring them to create stories within their worlds or creating like, you know, one-offs within those worlds, brand placement within those worlds. Like there's like
Yeah,
going to be this very, I think, strange way in which that becomes sort of where the like the signal is, you know, and it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
I mean a good person to look at is Gossip Goblin. You know,
yeah,
he's like
yeah.
really his gravity is hit hard on social and he has like a really incredible following. And it wasn't but what 6 months ago. I can't recall the YouTuber's name, but the guy who self-financed that feature film, it was like a
Oh
horror
yeah,
movie.
Markiplier. Yeah, yeah, the Iron
That's it.
Lung.
Yeah,
Yes,
dude.
yes,
I
yes.
mean, I think if you think about it in those two worlds and then blend them together, you say, oh, great. Somebody who has cultivated an audience and a following can then leverage that audience
Yeah.
to do something as big as like a feature release. Like that
Yes.
audience is what to look at because we
Yeah.
live in an attention economy.
Yeah.
Attention is everything.
Yeah.
And you're going to have even more and more things looking for attention. And again, if you use the music comparison, there's enough to go around. Like people
Yeah.
are going to
Yeah.
find you can like hardcore and you can also like Sinatra. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's going to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
multiple genres of what's happening that people are stoked on and want to like, you know, contribute to.
Dude. Whoa.
Wild.
This is good.
What? I'll say
This is
one more
good.
thing too, which
Yeah,
is that
no, please.
well, I'm ranting, but
No, no.
there's a guy named, do you know Dan Carlin? He's like
Oh,
a
hardcore history?
podcaster, hardcore history
Yeah,
dude.
bro.
He has a sister podcast called Common Sense. I don't think he's done an episode in a minute because he
Okay.
feels everybody lost their common sense, which is really funny.
Yeah.
But he had an episode where he was talking about this is before AI, but I think it's very relevant to AI, which is that anytime you have a big technological breakthrough, you have an adaptation period where people get used to it. Like there has to be like, you know, the Industrial Revolution, the printing press. There is like the automotives, flight, you know, then they have a little bit of a tale of adaptation and then it becomes the norm. What he was saying is like, we've just been hit with such an onslaught of revolutions, technological breakthroughs, that those tails have demanded to be smaller and smaller and smaller. So a good example is like my last full-time job was at Rolling Stone, and I was there in 2000 and 15 to 17. And I was there because they were starting like a films division, but then video hit the timeline. That's when Facebook
Mm.
had put video for the first time on the timeline. Which now seems like how could any timeline exist without video?
Yeah.
But before that, it was just images and text.
Whoa.
Video lands, and all of a sudden, brands, it was like an arms race to have content. So you know, we shifted to that as the goal, and it quickly became like, okay, that's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to create. And you kind of say like, yeah, dude, that's where we're at now. It's like you have to adapt. There's an adaptation period that has to happen. And it's like the minute that tail hits, we get used to video. Like social media wasn't that much earlier before that. Smartphones wasn't much that earlier before that. All of a sudden now you have AI, which is like, you know, it's like there's no
Yeah.
time to catch a breath. It's like you gotta, so you have to build the muscle, I think. I
Do
think
you
that's what it's gotta be.
This is kind of one of my well, yeah, this is I think one of my like oh man, how do I want to like because so what you just said, I mean, I do, you hear people talk about like the singularity, and my only personal experience to verify that is like watching the AI tools, right? Come.
Yeah,
Like the video, like the new models, and it's been coming faster and faster, and been getting better quicker since like, a year ago or 6 months ago. And so to me, I, I could say like, yeah, it does seem like we're on kind of like exponential slope of acceleration with AI like getting better, and it's probably somewhere in some lab it's like very very intelligent and
oh, for sure.
self-improving. And yeah, I don't know, I mean, it's but that is to say, I don't know if you have thoughts on that, but also I'm curious just for yourself, like how do you balance your time between learning new tools, and applying them? Because I know like it's starting to get to the point where like there's so many tutorials, I have tabs open, I'm not going to watch them all. There's like so much happening so quickly, you know?
Yeah, I know. It can be daunting. It can be seriously daunting. I guess to go back to your first point about the super AIs that I 100% know they exist. I know that I do think that there is like it's the double-edged sword. That's the conversation that's happening outside of the AI filmmaking world, which is usually just positive and exciting about what you can create, which is like what is this thing and where is it headed? And you have the black pillars who are kind of like, yeah, this is it. Good night, Gracie. And then you have the other people's like, I don't know, this could be amazing. We might bring back dinosaurs. Like this could be like somebody posted like Jurassic Park. It was like AI. I was like, I hadn't thought about it, but let's go. So I think there's a lot of good that's going to come from it. Obviously, with anything good, there's the bad too. And I certainly hope it is in the hands of righteous people, people who are good and are going to not let the. I mean, we've existed this long with the invent of nuclear weaponry and pretty significant stuff. So that's all I'll say about that.
All
But then,
right.
the tools issue is a real issue because, yeah, I mean, Sea Dance too was like a really, I mean, it was a really great uh, lesson in what happens when you have like a soft launch. And it was like a fervor to get your hands on it, and you couldn't. And then when it finally came out, it felt like it was kind of nerfed. Like the amount of rolls I have to do to get some of these generations to is pretty frustrating. But I would say like the learning aspect of it does feel a little bit like when I was in the world of CG before I ended up, more in like now I'm more of like, After Effects, 2D guy. But uh, back then, once you have that base understanding of the concepts of how they work, everything else is just sort of incremental learning or learning exactly how the tool works.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are novel features that are coming out, but it doesn't feel as aggressive. It's just kind of like, okay, great. I conceptually know how to stitch something together now. And there's certain tools that are making that process easier. I know a lot of people shit on the node-based stuff because it feels like, you know, um, what was Max editing or compositing software? It's lost on me now, but
I didn't know Mac
I
had
love it.
compositing. Yeah, I love it. I
Yeah, they
love
used
it.
to have
Yeah,
like a
it's
compositing software. It was
whoa, crazy.
node-based,
Whoa.
and yeah, it'll come to me later. But
Are you using free pick or
I'm
what?
using
No.
FreePick,
Yeah, yeah,
and I love it because
yeah.
it's simply a visual workflow. That's
Totally.
all it is. It's not. It doesn't really have anything to do with the way in which you prompt or the way in which you structure your production. But
Yeah.
I like being able to see and connect, and it works for what this form is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that's like one aspect of it. And then there's the new tools that come out, like the fact that you can now do pretty incredible lip sync,
Mm.
especially with music. It's like there's tricks to do it. It's not as simple as it will be in probably a month, but
Right.
did you see the one I did with the Tom Waits
Yeah,
inspired
yeah, yeah, yeah. So
track?
good. So
That was
good,
the
dude.
test. I was like, I want to try this out. And again, like just to go back to what we were talking about earlier, the fact I could take this world that I had found and I had a character that popped up and it was like Lightspeed, you're vibing on it. You're like, okay, I want to put him in a field. Like I grew up in Southern Maryland. There was a lot of tobacco barns. My pop's on the old family farm. Like that like lives in me. It resonates with me. So I'm like, I wanted to be in this like, this old farm. And I wrote the song first, very quickly. I wrote the lyrics and I wrote the melody, just did a little voice memo,
Yeah.
took it to Suno, got
Yeah.
the vibe with
Yeah.
the help of an LLM to dial in the style.
Yeah.
This all happened within like it still blows my mind how quickly that
Yeah.
came together.
Yeah.
Took it, brought it in. I had the idea. It was like, yeah, this thing's like a farmer for these like glowworms, like these like,
Yes.
weird beasts, and he's kind of like frustrated by the fact that like he wants to work his land, but his work's never done. It just that's his whole thing, you know what I mean? And it's like
That's so good.
I was able to feed it that, get perfect lip sync through this practical puppet. Uh, and I had that video done within like an hour and a half, 2 hours with the
Man.
song. And that's more in line with what you were saying earlier about, creating
Yes.
music.
Yes.
If you're going to make a demo, let's be honest, that's like a demo. That's not I sat down and really crafted the story as much as I wanted as
Mm.
I'm maybe coming up with an idea. I'm planting the seed
Yeah.
for a story, which, sidebar, I will say, I think is actually fertile soil for creators right now. People want to be along for the ride. That's why I think I've
Mm.
seen a lot of like activity on TikTok, which is like the shorter form
Yeah.
is resonating because it's like
Oh
morsels.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah. You're getting glimpses and yeah, of how it's
yeah.
working.
So it's I don't know, man. Like I think we're in the dawn of a pretty interesting age, and folks that I enjoy seeing what they're creating, like you and like
Yeah.
Ryan and the other guys. Like it just makes me go like, man, what happens once you even have a bit more, like it can happen in an expedited way. Like you can get
It's
like an
unreal.
agent to like you wake up in the morning and it's like, great, I have the idea for what I want, give me options. And
Yeah.
you already have like a beat sheet that you can like grab from and be like, great, we're going here. Like let's dig, let's make it.
Yeah.
You can do something like a short film,
Yeah.
make it even shorter than what people are doing now.
It's
Everybody
unreal.
advertises like 5 days.
Dude, I gotta say, like, I just resonate so deeply with what you're saying. It's like I'm talking to myself. I mean, and it makes me so happy because I feel like it's relatively rare. I'm in LA, man, and like it's rare to meet, first of all, people making stuff here. You know, most people like are gave up or it's just or but but it's also rare to meet someone who's like, because dude, I don't really like talk about it. I was in a band for many years. I really look back on it not positively. It fucking sucked, dude. I love
Really?
writing music, I love making things, but it also it was too constraining, dude. Like I like making the music videos, I like doing the everything, like what I in which I want to end this by talking about Backslider, but like I feel like such kindred spirits because you know previously you had to pick a lane and you had to like grind and I do this thing or I do this thing. There are very few, like you mentioned Bowie, I think of like Beck, like there are very few artists that were able to like kind of like oversee like kind of a comprehensive like aesthetic and like identity and and I think it took money, it took like you're saying studio backing, and it also fucking balls to like push through and assert an ego and artistic self through all the shit. Like most people couldn't do that. You had to be kind of psycho, I
Sure.
think, to have that kind of
Yeah.
ego and say like, no, my crazy ideas are gonna be. But now you have like these tools that allow like creatives that have in all these different kind of disciplines like in music and film and design, and you can kind of like it's the dream, man. I mean, I see it as an absolute miracle, and I know you do too.
Yeah, dude.
It's a miracle, man. It's like we've been waiting for this moment that we didn't know we were waiting for, like for this to come. It's like it blows my mind.
Yeah, same. I know. And the I haven't felt this excitement to create in this
Yeah,
way,
yeah,
except since maybe I was a younger man and I was like a
totally,
kid, and
totally.
like the level, the degree of excitement. It's like there's like an awakening of like,
Yeah,
oh my gosh, I can't wait to like dig around and see what I can come up with and see what's going on. Like, and that's when man, like we are in a very special time. And also like when you are repeatedly in the space and you're repeatedly creating, you will find a thing that all of a sudden will snag you up.
Mm.
It's going to light that pilot light, you know? And it's like, I mean, for me, it's this little puppet world that I found. Like, I'm obsessed with it. I just can't wait to find the next thing I'm going to tell in it. And you can see people in the space that they've already found theirs. And then there's other people who are looking for it, you know? And it's like, it will be found. And it's like, I don't know, dude. Like, I think that, it has never been a better time to be like a multidisciplinary artist.
Yeah.
So if you have this checkered background that before could have been like a heavy arsenal, but let's be honest, like you usually had to pick a lane, right? It's like you know, a jack of all trades, a master of none kind of scenario. And the fact is, right now, is the age of the jack of all trades. If you can wear multiple hats, you can finally see forth a vision that would have otherwise, again, taken major backing. You would have had like, yeah, dude, that like forceful ego and vision that was able to step into a room with those business savvy money makers and be like, this is happening. Either with you or with somebody else. You had to have that like touch of like, you know, gravitas, that bravado to be able to pull that off. And the artists did, the people you mentioned, like, you know, like a Bowie, like they were, you know, undeniable. And I think right now it's like it's enabling artists that are perhaps cut from a similar cloth that they're interested in a lot of different things. They're interested in music, they're interested in video, they're interested in photography, they're interested in fashion, they're interested in whatever it can be. And you can combine those things at this moment to create. And it's like you said it, a miracle. It's insane.
Well, I think that's a. I think we should wrap it up by talking about Backslider. Then, will you tell me about Backslider and kind of like what you
Sure.
see as like kind of the future, what you're going for, what the goal is, how you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'll give you the short story where it
yeah.
came from. I wrote a song uh, back before I did my first like solo little EP, which I recorded at Sun Studio in Memphis, which
Oh,
was like a
cool.
dream come true for me. It was like
Wow.
insane, all live, all in a room. And one of the songs I wrote was inspired by I don't know if you know Lead Belly.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like the old
Of
guitarist. Yeah,
course,
dude.
yeah. And
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Nirvana
yeah.
cover. I know the Nirvana
There you
cover.
go.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah. And so I had found a bunch of old like recordings of him, and when like Lomax, Alan Lomax used to go out and do field recordings,
Yeah, yeah.
and there was one where he was singing this haunting melody about backsliders, and I was like, man, backsliders, you know, what is that? You know, and I kind of did a little searching, and it, you know, the thing about backsliding, I think for me is like it can have a negative in the classic
Mm,
connotation, or it can have a positive as well, which is meaning that, you know, if you backslide, you could have been in a place that maybe you weren't supposed to be and backslide in order to get your decisions right. Like there's nothing is ever set in stone, right? A lot of times we have to pivot in life. We have a spectrum of potential. Here we are in the gutter. Here we are where we want to be, right? Sometimes you gotta like course correct. And so I recorded this song and I really loved it. And I ended up wanting to create like a brand, like Backslider Brand. So after I left Rolling Stone and went off on my own, um, by 2022, I was like, I need to like give this like a name. It needs to be like an official like boutique studio, like for you know the clients I got coming in and the things I'm doing. So um, that's where Backslider Brand came from, and now it's quickly, you know, I have like the offshoot now, which is now like Backslider AI. That's going to be kind of like the umbrella for all the you know media, the original media stuff. But that's the future as far as I see for at least what that brand is going to be. And I think most people are going to have a similar setup, which is just kind of a, it's an entity. It's an entity that houses their many creations, you know, so that um, it can be just your name or it can be something that's actually attached to like a business entity. And that's kind of the short and sweet of it. But you know, Backslider Brand itself has been like the home for my animation, the home for like I released my record through it. Like I made a little independent
that's
label and put
cool.
it out. So like I did like some clothing stuff through it. It's sort of like a it's it's a way for, I think, a creative to say, this is my hub, this is my home, right? And so, yeah, I don't know, dude. Like, I think quickly we'll see a lot of those. We'll see a lot of people having their own little entertainment entities, either named after their first little franchise or their first creation or whatever it might be.
Yeah, that's cool, man. Whew, this was good. This was good. This is
Buddy,
gold.
I can't
Yeah.
thank you enough for having me, dude. I
Oh, my
love your work so
pleasure.
much, and
Oh, thanks,
I
man.
was
Likewise.
excited to meet you and wax poetic about this stuff, chop it up.
Amazing. Here, wait. Well, let me say first, I'm gonna stay on for 1 second. I just want to thank you. I'm gonna put all your info and links down below.
Thanks,
And
sir.
yeah, man. All right. Thanks for coming on the pod.
Thank you.
Later, dude.